we can see your screen. So hi everyone, welcome to session 2 for Web3 Security Masterclass. So behind the mic is IJ. I am a developer and I'm also, I hear echoes, also a Web3 Cifrin ambassador. So for this session, we'll be going through like an actual audit, how you can audit it, how you can write a report, and that session will be led by Scott. Scott, you may introduce yourself and then you may kick off the session. Thank you.
We left off last time. Let that open. Kill that. Kill that. Kill that. Kill that. Please, some may run usage. Let's have a clean one there. Okay, so where we were last time is actually here, where we go to git clone, password store. We ran a few commands like what was it? Forge build. Yeah, we got things like we go to build it, so that means good. We did a forge coverage just to see on what scope we've covered, what's the percentage, things like that, things like this, so we can see all this. And also we can do, and as you can see, if we do a forge test, it's actually also being covered in the forge coverage. As you can see here, there are some tests that have been covered here. The tests are actually in passwordstore.t.sol. When you see like something like a passwordstore.t.sol, just know like that's actually falling under the test. And here is where you can have all the tests that you may wish to test on your smart contract. Okay. Yeah. We came to our smart contract and it was this short. We found some vulnerabilities on it. Yeah, and I would like us to go through them again. So error here we found like not owner, password store is also not owner, private address. Another thing that we also found from our last session, when something is private, that means that other smart contracts cannot read, but you as the user of this can be able to read it. Yeah, that's what we kind of found out from our last session. This This construct is actually being called once. We have this function set password, which is a string, new password, and it's also an external call. Yeah, and when we come here, we have the set password, new password. Here we have how do you call it? For this case, comments, we have an access control issue when it comes to this. Yeah, basically. And for this function, get password external view returns. It's a string memory. If message, this is actually the sender is not the owner, it can revert. Meaning on that part, we are okay. Yeah, so let's start with the first finding when actually it's actually at the top here, where the address, where we have things like the S password, this one that I've highlighted is intended to be only called by the owner of the contract, but actually you might find that anyone can call it when you come here where you have an access control issue. So when it comes to this, when I said that we can have things like where if it's private only for other smart contracts not to be able to read it. So let's create another file. Go up, new folder, no actions, new file. Oh, so for this new file, let's have let's call it findings.md. Yeah. Here's where we can have all our findings. And when it comes also to that, another thing, when you're writing a report, you're actually going to write a report on this as we also proceed on getting our issues when it comes to the smart contract. So what we need? We need to convince the protocol of the issues.
Scott,
How
you
bad?
increase the font.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Control plus plus. Oh. Shift minus.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
How about issue? How to fix the issue that we have found? Also, another thing when it also comes to writing your reports, another thing that we need to follow, we have to have our title. From our title, we need to have, that's bad. How do we write it? We have our title there. We can have title there. Come down, description too. But for description, how do we write it? We like that one. Description. And from description, we need to have our impact of the issue, or impacts depending on the issue that you found. From there, we can have something called, once you've described what's the impact, now from the impact, we can have now the proof of code. Proof of code, or in some cases, it can be called concept, because that's what you're basically working with. Yeah. And from there, we can have mitigation measures. When it comes now to the impact that we have found. On VS Code, if you do a Control Shift V, so basically you can have the preview. Okay, that's actually bad. Am I supposed to like have that there? We come to the preview findings. Yeah, so that's something I missed on my end. So to click, if we indent to click an next space there, so you can have something like this. Why is it not showing? Yeah, so it's a bit, oh, no wonder. We didn't close that one. Yeah, title, description, impact, mitigation measures. Yeah, so from there, we can now look at some of the tools. What can it give us? As we looked at some of them last time. If you have already installed Slither, you can just use Slither for it to run everything there. With this, it's actually, this is a static tool. It doesn't run your code, it just follows the, how do you call it? A pattern, more of a pattern matching thing, this, given reference. So this one should be mutable than I'm giving us such a thing. But when we do the tool that I've been working on, let's see what this will give us. Oh, shoot, that's a lot of files. Let me Control C. TLS, we have to like CD to SRC where the files are. TLS, here's where the files are. So like if we do a 41 dot, it will like give us, yeah, something like this. Now this is more readable. We can go through this quick. And with this, you can even verify some of the bugs. Some might be just noise. Yeah, so the first issue it found is a compiler bug because it's using version 8.18, which is old. So it actually basically it's like telling it not to use more recent versions. So another thing is a pragma issue with the sol file. If you look at the sol file, this pragma, it's 8.18, same case as what we have up there. Potential naming conventions, this actually can be it's not something big, but something you can really work on. Another thing is the documentation parameter mismatch. Actually, the same thing, parameter, blah, 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 set. Critical, according to this tool, it might be critical in some cases, medium in some cases, or high in some cases, just depending on how you measure your severity cases. Now, like for this case, it's critical according to the tool. Set password missing access control. As we also in the code, where is it? The set password. Anyone can set password because actually it's an external call, meaning these are a viable thing. It actually even gives you the reference or the exact line where it is. Another naming convention, missing return value, blah, 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 things like that. So it actually gives you a more detailed breakdown, like critical. I found one, these are just naming convention, low, this, for the low, these are maybe pragma issues, yeah, things like that. Yeah, I think we are all cool up to the point. Let's see the back. Yeah. So another thing, if we also look at the deployment files, person store finding script here. Here is where we have the deployment file. So deploy person store, blah, 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 blah. Actually, this is how it's set for this case, but how do you, if you want to deploy it? Uh, Another thing, let's split this. So on this side, right, it's up there, I'm not using it. Since you're using Foundry and we want to run most of the things locally, and for us to have some of the wallet addresses like more locally available testnets, we can use Anvil. Yeah, if we let that run, so we can have things like, so here you can see all these Anvil, it's one version that are available accounts. These are the accounts. We have this, just these are just, it's not actual money. That would be crazy. So for this case, like we have like 10 G's worth of F. Yeah, so here are the private keys for each of the addresses of the hex addresses that we see above. Yeah, is the chain ID, there's the base fee, gas limit, genesis, timestamp, basically. Yeah. Yeah, and another thing that you really need to look at, it's actually running on localhost port 8545. This is something that we come to look at later on. But for now, let's just proceed with our findings. MD, yeah. So title. So let's start with the password issue. We are writing the report as we will be doing. Basically, so these, let's say these are critical. Let's do that. So what's our title? Storing the password on chain, because that's what we've basically seen, makes it visible to anyone, comma, and no longer private. So after that, now we come to the description. Oh, keep on missing my mouse. So for here, we all the data that is stored on chain can be read directly from the blockchain. With this actually means that for blockchain, just know that most of the things are not, everything is transparent basically. So that means your password, the password in this case for this protocol, it can actually be read. So batiks. Also, like, so the contract password, password store, these. I thought they use camel casing. That one come down here. These symbols here are just basically backticks, and when it comes to preview, so you can see it shows you like this. So this actually means it's a reference back to this, of which when you come to like the contract. So this is the contract password store. When you come now to preview and you now see this, you just know it makes it even easier now even for you to read. Just know this actually is a prompt that you can even give. You can give your or this preview your AI, the one that we're using, to actually do it for you. Contract is contract. So another backticks s, it's s underscore password. Yeah, like that. That variable is intended to be a private variable. And only called by the owner. But actually, this is not what is happening in the code of the contract, and only access through password store contract. Then this variable that we saw in the code that we also got through, we went with last time, get password. Actually, they've used camel casing for this case. Most of them, they actually use camel casing. Make get password function. Yeah, so if you're done with that, you come to preview. Yeah, it now looks something like this. I don't know what's happened to the description. Did I miss something? Yeah, I think it's supposed to get that. Yeah, all bold. No, double S. Yeah, now as you can see now, that's much better for a description. So like for the, what's our next? Oh, now we have impact, backspace. What are we writing on impact? So what's the impact of this? The impact is anyone can, sorry, can read the private password. Password, thus breaking the functionality of the protocol. Yeah, so that's that. We don't come to recommendation, we now come to proof of concept. And with this, we kind of started doing it a little bit. Let me put that there. So remember when we ran Anvil here, so this is what we have. We ran Anvil, we got multiple wallet addresses with some testnet in it, some Ethereum testnet, and with this we also got the private keys. Yeah, so with this, when we run in this case we ran Anvil. So we also went through what's this? The deployment part. So here we have like to deploy it. And this is the command of deploy locally when you're using make deploy, when you are running it with Anvil, because everything is already set. Yeah, so it ran. Here is a successful hash there. Let's go up a little bit. Yeah. So these are contractor address, setting up VPN, first hash, contract address. That means now that's the contract address for this case. Here we have the first hash, second hash with hard hat, the sequence, blah, blah, blah. So meaning it's now already deployed. Okay, now from that, when we go back to the code, we actually found that, let me now be a bit quicker. We found that, remember, this constructor is usually being called once. So that has been called already, but we also need to find the password, meaning now the password that we need to look for has been saved on position one. If you understand arrays, we do start counting on zero, but zero has already been taken by this. Now the next one that we really need to look at is one. Okay, so remember also this, on this part side of Anvil, it's localhost. So, and here it is, that's running. Remember also when we just ran Anvil, it stopped at here. Me also, on this other side, when we ran the deploy, it ran all this, the deployment. And also if you can see the transactions, hex 513 is the second hash. Yeah. You can also see this let me push this a bit up. This transaction is actually more equivalent to this. And this one, as we just go on like that. Yeah, so remember, this is a password store, meaning it is storing. And for this case, we are also using Foundry. And with Foundry, we have some commands that you can use. We've used so far, we used Forge, we used Anvil, now we can use Cast. Now, for this case, it's a storage, but storage of what, basically? Remember, our contractor address that's actually up here. Here it is. Let's copy this. Yeah, we've copied it. And actually, this we have to also run it through the request protocol. Yeah. Or request protocol are just RPCs. That are RPC. Yeah. RPC URL For you even to learn more about the cast command, you can go to Foundry book and read about it. Yeah, so which URL are we really working on? So remember, for our case, since we are running it locally, let me scroll up here so that you can see this 127.0, basically localhost. Let's scroll down. So when you're down here, so it's basically HTTP that uh, you can even write local host instead of 127, but running on which port? 85, 45. Yeah, let's run that and see. Oh, it's not going to run. I know why. Oh, actually, train. I thought I made a mistake. It's a mistake and also a good thing at the same time because we're also learning. Okay, actually, on that, uh, we can see that we have two passwords in this case. This is the first password. Like I said, if you understand arrays, you start counting from zero. This is the first one. As you can see, it started with zero. Now this is the second one. We can even get the password of this and this. But for you to get a specific password, we have to repeat the same command. But at the end, of the contract address, we have to like say which password are we looking for. Let's start with zero so that we see what's actually there. Let's see that one actually train, and here's the what is it? The password for address zero. We've come up here, you can see the same thing, but remember we also want just this one for one. If you do the same for that, we can replace the zero with one. So remember, if this protocol ran for like 10,000 times, so it's like you'll be replacing for each number, or we just don't do the number thing and let it just run everything. It will just show you all the password, but for this case, it's just in hex format. But the one we want to find is the for password one, which is this. Now we found it, this one. So since we found that it is in hex format, how do we convert it so that it can become a human readable format so that you can know that now this is the exact password that you're working with. These are majorly just what computers understand at this point. So for this, we have to pass it. We have to use like the cast command again. We have is it car pass, then bytes 32. Yeah, because this 32. Yeah, these are 32. We want it in string. And since we want it in string, all we just have to do is copy pasting the whole hex. Copy and paste and let it run. As you can see, we already have my password there. Just yeah. So these actually now prove a proof of concept that we cannot save passwords on chain. Yeah, is there any question up to there? So this is like a process of like running your POC so that you know what's really happening, get to understand how things work, understand the code. Before I continue, actually the next process just like writing the whole process that we came to getting my password on POCs. Is there any question up to there? Let's check call messages. Oh, nothing yet. Okay, so when you come here at findings, proof of concept for now for this case is like just writing the whole process that we did. Uh, what are we? What did we do? We just created it locally. Created. Uh, running locally. Yeah, locally. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. Do the bash. What was the command that we did for this was make. You can actually use anvil or make anvil still works. Anvil. That's what I wanted, but why is it suggesting for me all this? That's not what we want. Yeah, after that, what did we do? We deployed the contract on the chain. But remember, this was also locally. The same case, 3 backticks, this a bash. And for this, we used to make deploy. Three backticks, yeah, like that. After that, we ran the storage tool. How do I put it? Since the protocol is just it was storage, how did we do it? Since for this case you are looking for password 1 that was saved on location 1, we can say we used, since they're going to read it, we use 1. Yeah, we used 1 because storage of backticks s underscore password. Oh man, there's something I've skipped in the contract. Yeah, or actually it's got a step behind. That's password. So that's the deployment. Now when you come to this, when you come now to the test, is I know you may not be understanding where we got my password from. My password, when you come to the test, you can test that here, set public, set owner can set password. This is just a test for the owner can set password. We start the prank, memory, expected password, my new password, set the password store. So you see, this is what they are actually setting. Password store.set, blah, 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 expect the actual password is this, and this. Actually, these are actually tests that we can run. And first to run this, we have to Control C, stop Anvil. Yeah, Anvil will run, or actually runs better when for you to have to run cars, you have to run Anvil so that you can test it better. So that you can also see how you interact with your smart contract. Yeah. So when you do a for each test, here we can see test non-owner reading password reverts gas that this is actually the amount of gas it has used. Test owner can set password that or that. So these are two contracts, two tests that are on the contract that they have actually been tested here. And another thing, these come standard. You have to call these from the password store so that when you are writing things like this, set my new password, set password. Remember, this is a function. This is it a function? Set password. Yeah, it's a function back when you go to the password store. So you have to import this in order for you to actually make it work. Import deployed password. So this is actually now the deployment that we looked at some of the code on how you can set it. And another thing, you can also set it also to run on the chain, depending on which chain you want to use, whether it's Lisk, Celo. You just have just to change the deployment code for it for the specific chain that you want it to run through. And you also have to have things like chain ID, things like that. Yeah. Yeah, so there is where these actually you can even write some tests here. I don't know if you do you have the time to write one right now. Can I write? That time is short, but preview findings. Now, yeah. So you see, if you write it like this, now comes like this. Anvil, deploy. So like for the person who like judging or going through your POC, they'll just be doing copy paste or just prove that you actually wrote this. It actually looks now more presentable, as you can see here. Yeah. Yeah, and with that, you can just continue. We used one just to in the contract. This is actually here where the password is, because when we come back here, remember this was for storage 0, now this for storage 1. Yeah, and you can see this is an address 0, and you come now to this, it's this for the owner. The constructor that's been called once. Now, when you start setting a password, you now uses this, and it went to 1. Yeah. And with that contract, now with this is actually what is it, a bash? Yeah, still a bash. Now here's now how do you even continue with your not that pass by string, not that cast storage 0. So this is what you copy paste. Yeah, so enter. Yeah, so with this, even if you now give a new user or somebody else your report, it now can now look like this. Now you see, with them, they just copy paste and that's it. Yeah, so since we've come here and run this, now the next thing was what we found. Yeah, so now here is where you have to like put everything. You will have an output like this. So enter. Still, let's do a backtick here. So here is where now you just copy paste the hex or for your password. Copy. Now from there, you can just say you can now pass that hex to it's to a string, yeah, string with enter 2 3. This one is still a bash, the command that we used. Then now we come now on where we with that, if this was the output. So remember we did this, if this was the output. Now we are converting this into human readable format. So I think this is what we are copy pasting. Copy, enter, and yeah, so we have that. Since now, if you come now to a preview of findings, it's I don't know how it looks like. Yeah, a bit now more presentable. Now after that now we have and you get an output like this. And is now where we come to our terminal again, where we had our password. And just copy paste it there. Yeah, so to look something like this, oh, I need to backspace it. Oh, I know it's not working. We need to use backticks. Yeah, there you go. And from there is now we come to mitigation measures. Backspace. So for this case, what can we do? One could encrypt the password of chain and then store the encrypted password on chain. This would require the user to remember another password. That's now the caveat when it comes to this of chain. To decrypt the password on chain. Yeah, so these are sample preview of a report that you can actually give. Yeah, so I think that's it for now. For our next session, I think now we'll go deep down into Papi Raffle so that we can now write our test there. This will just get us started, get to understand writing reports. So this is like majorly how you can write a report. Yeah, you can have your name. This is actually the major content of the report. Things that come up there like your logo, your name, time, all that. You can just add it by yourself, but the major thing is this. Yeah, I think that's it for our session today. For next week's session, we'll be now looking at Papi Raffle. Now we have now like big vulnerabilities where we can write tests and test them. Yeah. So is there any question up to that part?
Okay, so if they don't have any questions, just feel free to, like, if you have question, you can ask on the channel, the Telegram channel. And I'm hoping to see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for taking the time, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.